I went to the Sanctuary Cove Boat Show on the weekend and it was a real eye opener. Heaps and heaps of boats from all over Australia had kind of converged on Sanctuary Cove. It's the biggest boat show in the Southern Hemisphere, and hundreds and hundreds of displays. And it was really fascinating just to sort of see how everything operated. But there was a little bit of a highlight I wanted to share with you. I went down onto the Riviera display, and when you got to the front counter, you had to answer a few key questions, and they asked where you're from and if you're a boat owner and so on. And they gave you a coloured lanyard based on those pre-screening questions. And we went out onto the display and had a look at the boats. And then all of a sudden, a sales representative from West Australia came over, and he'd identified us from those lanyards that we were from the West, and wanted to have a talk to us about Perth and what we were doing there and so on. And it was just very, very slick sales 101, very fundamental, just segregating, categorizing your clients before they come onto the display, so that the appropriate sales representative could have a conversation with you, and just make contact and establish some rapport. And it was done so naturally and so well. It really did make me notice just how they'd been so clever with their sophisticated technique. And I was with my brother, who works for Bentley, and they're used to selling high-end products. And even he sort of commented that it was a really clever way just to handle a large volume of people coming onto the display, and how to make sure we had meaningful conversations with all the various prospects. Conversely, went to another stand, and another high profile boating brand. And it was a little bit different. You had to scan to get on board, and it was sort of an automated scanning process. And I appreciate there's lots of volume, but there was no kind of conversation with the sales reps. None of the sales reps spoke to you during your sort of time on the stand. Most of them were a bit lackluster, to be honest. They were sort of standing back and talking to themselves. And the whole concept there was the follow-up emails were going to come through from that brand to say, well, look, if you're interested, get in touch with us. So there was none of that pre-qualification, and there was no rapport built on the stand with the sales reps. Now, there might have been a different sort of set of circumstances for people who were VIPs, who were pre-existing buyers, or had bought that brand before, and maybe they were treated a little bit differently. But you just never know who's a buyer these days. And it was quite an interesting demarcation. And so I bring this back to my own practice. What are you doing to pre-qualify your buyers? What questions are you asking? How are you segregating your buyers? And then how are you communicating with your buyers, from the moment they sort of reach out to you to the moment that they purchase, or even if they don't purchase from you, what's the ongoing communication look like? Now, with this brand that didn't do any of the pre-qualifications, they've just been bombarding me with emails since the boat show, and it's a waste of time, so I'll probably unsubscribe from those. But I was very impressed with Riviera, and what an incredible brand, what an incredible success story. It wasn't that many years ago that this business went to the brink, and it was purchased out of insolvency and has been resurrected into one of the most successful manufacturing stories in Australia. But I tell you what, they're getting sales right. They really know what they're doing in terms of building rapport really naturally with their prospective buyers, fostering those relationships, and bringing them into the Riviera family. So it was just a really impressive weekend. I just absolutely loved it, and it was just great to see good sales mechanics in action. And there's always lessons to be learnt, and how you can apply them in your own real world experiences, and how you can take those little nuggets of good salesmanship into your practice.